Goodbye for now. It has truly been an adventure. In the 1980s, a remarkable generation of actresses became deeply embedded in American pop culture. They appeared everywhere, on the big screen, on cable television, and even at the local video rental store. To millions of viewers, these actresses were instantly recognizable faces. However, being familiar did not always guarantee a long-lasting career. Some saw their careers stall, while others faded from the spotlight entirely. Elizabeth Shu, however, did not disappear. She was omnipresent. For an entire generation, she was an essential part of the cultural landscape. This article will focus on a select number of her most significant films, explore what made her enduring appeal so strong, and examine the subtle changes within the entertainment industry that helped reintroduce her to audiences later on. Let us begin by fading to black. Elizabeth Shu was raised in a stable, middle-class family in New Jersey. Unlike many actors, she didn't come from a background steeped in show business, nor did she enter the industry with any predetermined sense of destiny. Her career began modestly with commercials as a teenager, followed by small acting roles. What set her apart early on was her presence. She exuded an approachable, grounded quality that made her instantly believable to audiences. This quality quickly became her defining image. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Elizabeth was rarely transformed or drastically restyled from one film to another. There were no shocking reinventions, no radical changes. She was consistently cast as the girl next door, a persona that was reassuring to casting directors, studios, and viewers alike. This consistency made her reliable and marketable, easy to slot into various projects. Yet this steadiness also imposed subtle limitations, as she was seldom pushed into roles that challenged or surprised audiences. Elizabeth Shu's breakout moment came in 1984 with the film The Karate Kid. She played Ali, the love interest of the protagonist, Daniel. Though her role was not large, the film's enormous success made her unforgettable. She brought a sense of authenticity to her character that many teen movie roles lacked. 3 years later, in 1987, she starred in Adventures in Babysitting. This film placed her front and center. Her performance was warm, relatable, and effortlessly funny. While it didn't earn critical acclaim, it resonated with audiences and became a staple on both television and VHS. By the late 1980s, Elizabeth Shu was everywhere, on cinema screens, cable channels, and video store shelves. Her omnipresence was reflective of a broader trend among actresses of that era. Many actresses from the 1980s experienced similar trajectories. For example, Ali Sheedy was hugely popular following hits like The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire, but her prominence faded sharply by the early 1990s, as opportunities diminished, and she largely vanished from mainstream films. On the other hand, Michelle Pfeiffer also gained visibility in the 1980s, with roles in Scarface and Married to the Mob. But she successfully transitioned in the late 80s and early 90s to more complex, prestigious parts in films like Dangerous Liaisons, The Fabulous Baker Boys, and Batman Returns, sustaining a high-profile career. Elizabeth Shu's path fell somewhere in between these two. She continued to work steadily, yet her roles did not propel her career forward in the same way. The late 1980s and early 1990s were financially rewarding periods for many actors, thanks largely to the booming VHS rental market. Films that might have otherwise faded after their theatrical release found extended life through home video. Elizabeth Shu appeared in numerous such films, including Cocktail, 1988, Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3, and Soap Dish, 1991. These were far from minor productions. She shared the screen with stars like Tom Cruise, Michael J. Fox, and Sally Field. Yet, her roles were often limited to girlfriend parts, love interests, or supporting characters. Reflecting back, many actors who rose to prominence during the 80s were confined to a relatively narrow range of roles. Not because they lacked talent, but because the industry's thematic focus was centered on similar ideas. The generation before them, actresses such as Meryl Streep, Jessica Lange and Diane Wiest, were offered more mature material earlier in their careers. The 1980s ushered in a tonal shift in filmmaking. Movies became lighter, more accessible, and aimed squarely at mass audiences. The actors emerging during this era were not less skilled, but they entered an industry with fewer opportunities to explore complex or challenging characters. By the early 1990s, Elizabeth Shu began to make different career choices. She sought out smaller, grittier films that did not hinge on her being likable or safe. In 1994, she appeared in Radio Inside, an independent drama that received minimal distribution. The following year, she worked with Steven Soderbergh on The Underneath, a noir crime film where she portrayed a morally ambiguous character. Although the film was not a commercial success, it marked a clear departure from her previous roles. The year 1995 brought the release of Leaving Las Vegas, a film that surprised many who knew Elizabeth Shu's earlier work. Not because her acting was in question, but because this project was so far removed from the sweet, approachable characters she had previously portrayed. The film is unflinching in its portrayal of addiction and self-destruction, centering on a relationship that exists in the shadow of despair. Shue played Sarah, a sex worker who forms a complex connection with Nicolas Cage's character, a man slowly drinking himself to death. Watching Leaving Las Vegas, the most striking aspect was not just Shu's talent, but her restraint. This film is undeniably Cage's showcase, but it simply would not work without her. She never competes for attention or overshadows the narrative. Instead, she maintains a steady, grounded presence in a story that offers no safety net to any character. Elizabeth Shu's performance in Leaving Las Vegas is marked by an uneasy naturalism that makes the story feel more like real life than a crafted performance. Despite the tough exterior her character presents, moments of vulnerability break through, revealing a deeply human portrayal. This quietly powerful work reshapes any preconceptions about her as an actress. The Oscar nomination that followed did not transform her career into a new phase, but rather highlighted a facet of her talent that had always been there. It naturally raises the question of how different her career might have been if roles like Sarah had been offered more frequently. Unfortunately, the recognition did not lead to the kinds of opportunities that matched the depth of that performance. Following the Oscar nod, Elizabeth Shu continued to work, but became increasingly selective about her projects. She balanced her professional life with her personal one, getting married and having children. Some interpret this as stepping back from the industry, but in reality it was a choice for sustainability. She no longer felt the need to chase quantity in roles. Films like Pearl Meadow and Hollow Man came and went during this period. While these projects did not significantly enhance her career, they didn't harm it either. She managed to stay active in the industry without burning out, demonstrating a pragmatic approach to longevity. For a long time, television was considered a fallback for actors whose film careers were waning. However, in the 1980s, TV was also a crucial launchpad for many stars. Michael J. Fox transitioned from Family Ties to Back to the Future. Bruce Willis went from Moonlighting to Die Hard. Robin Williams moved from Mork and Mindy to a flourishing film career. Television was the stepping stone. Film was the ultimate destination. This dynamic eventually reversed. Prestige television emerged as a venue where actors could do some of their best work and enjoy sustained careers. Elizabeth Shu arrived at this industry shift at precisely the right moment. In the mid-2000s, she appeared on CSI: Crime Scene Investigation, followed later by Cobra Kai, where she reprised her role from The Karate Kid. More recently, she joined the cast of The Boys, playing a morally complex character in one of the biggest shows on streaming platforms. Her move to television was not because her film career had ended, but because television had evolved into the superior option. Elizabeth Shu's story is notable not for scandal or for a dramatic disappearance, but for the importance of timing. When someone enters the entertainment industry and what that industry values at that moment can profoundly shape their career trajectory. Some of her contemporaries, such as Michelle Pfeiffer, Susan Sarandon, and Gina Davis, quickly broke into a higher tier with roles that changed their public perception. Shue's career followed a steadier, more consistent path, long-lasting, successful by many measures, and marked by quiet resilience. Leaving Las Vegas offers a glimpse into a different direction she could have taken. Not a direction she needed, but one that naturally piques curiosity. What made Elizabeth Shu's career enduring was her consistency. She did not make wild departures from what worked for her. Her approach to characters remained grounded and relatable over 4 decades. She maintained positive industry relationships and was never truly sidelined. Importantly, she preserved the natural quality that first brought her recognition. She refused to conform to fleeting trends that demanded cosmetic surgery or drastic reinventions. Instead, she remained authentic to herself. What is particularly interesting is where this steady path ultimately led her. Into television that is not only respected, but genuinely embraced. Shows like Cobra tap directly into a shared nostalgia for a generation, while The Boys place her in a darker, more contemporary setting. These roles do not feel like a step down. Rather, they provide continuity, visibility, and parts that respect experience instead of sidelining it. There is something deeply satisfying about watching actors we grew up with evolve on screen in this way. In many ways, we are fortunate to be living in this moment. The pendulum has swung. Television has become a place where careers don't quietly end, but deepen and mature. Seen through this lens, Elizabeth Shu's career does not feel unresolved. It feels complete, shaped by its era, yes, but still actively unfolding in a space that allows her to flourish. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy content like this, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. Ideally, all 3. It truly makes a huge difference. As always, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.